everybody, and welcome to Carving It Up Live right here on YouTube as well as on X and on Instagram. I'm Bryson Carver. I'm so happy to be with y'all today, especially after missing Wednesday's show. I was feeling under the weather. Wasn't even feeling that great on Monday's show, to be honest with you, but it was the day after a great football Sunday and a great football weekend, so there's no way I was going to miss that. But I'm excited to be here. Tim Barnard of the Boston Sports Summit, he'll be stopping by in about 25 minutes or so. Very excited to get his thoughts on the Red Sox. The Yankees lose. By the way, Poppy, give me some of that.
The Yankees lose. And
trust me, ladies and gentlemen, we're saving the best for when Tim comes on. That's not the last time you're going to hear the great David Ortiz say that beautiful phrase. But obviously getting to Eagles and Giants last night. Looks like the Giants have something they have not had in a very, very long time. Touch on that. On the Phillies side, it's time to get a new offensive coordinator. It is. I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. Kevin Patullo, get him out of here. He is the issue with this Eagles offense. Talk about that. Bill Belichick, there's reports that the Patriots. I'm used to associating Bill with New England. That North Carolina is already working on a buyout for the guy. Talk about that again. Tim Barnard will be stopping by in about 25 minutes to talk Red Sox, to talk about the Patriots. Drake Maye, again, with the impressive game against Buffalo. A pretty impressive start to the season for Drake Maye. I got to admit to y'all, and I love Tim, an absolutely insane Patrick Mahomes take that he has. Touch on that. Like Bryson's Bleak bet, if I were a bet man, and of course, upset of the week. Touch on that, and of course, the Vol View coming up later in the show. We've just got a loaded show on tap for you guys tonight. I'll also give y'all Bryson's best 10, and not the full segment because one of the teams that's on the list lost yesterday. But I'll just give you the list, why I rank the teams, where I rank them. Get to all those things later on today's show. But first, it appears the New York Giants have something they have not had in a very, very long time, and that is probably the greatest four-letter word in sports: hope. Giants got it. Do they have a franchise quarterback? Is this rookie class of Jaxson Dart, Cam Scatterbo, Abdul Carter, is this team, is this unit going to establish the next great phase of New York Giants football that the Giants fans have been starving for? Who knows? Only time will tell. But here's what I do know. In a game against the Philadelphia defense, we'll talk about Philly's offense. They're the issue. The Phillies defense have been great. Jaxson Dart was, by all means, first third ever start in the NFL. Pretty darn good. 2 total touchdowns, 1 passing, 1 rushing, 0 interceptions, 68% completion of $195 passing, passer rating over 100, QBR 0 to 100 of almost 90. That's pretty darn good on the part of Jaxson Dart. And I think what's really impressive, in all of this, if you're a New York Giants fan, is the fact that, Giants go up double digits to start. Philly responds quickly. They get the pass to Dallas Goedert for the touchdown, the 4 consecutive tush pushes. I'll get to that later. But the 4 consecutive tush pushes that lead to a Jalen Hurts touchdown, and all of a sudden, like, oh crap, Philly's up. Okay, the Eagles are just kind of gonna sleepwalk their way to a W from here. Throughout the last decade, has that not been the story for the Giants against the contending teams of the NFC East? It can be a Philadelphia Eagles who've been the predominant team of that division for the last decade, but certainly the Dallas Cowboys, who have had some Super Bowl contending teams. Hasn't that been the story? Oh, Giants will get up to a nice start. Dallas gets back in it and rolls. Dak has lost to the Giants since 2016, as I often state on this show. Washington now recently. Oh, that's cute. Giants get off to hot, and Washington's going to roll from here. What you have to feel great about if you're a New York Giants fan is the team didn't blink, is that Jaxson Dart played poised, played comfortable. I will say, the kid's going to have to learn how to slide. And it feels like I say this about a lot of young quarterbacks because they're just excited and they're out there. And listen, these are young 22, 23-year-old bodies. This isn't a situation where you've gone a decade taking a bunch of big hits. Jaxson Dart hasn't done that yet. He will in time because the NFL or football in general is a collision sport, not a contact sport. He will take hits. He will learn to slide. The play where he's lowering his shoulder into a guy out of bounds, cut that out of your game, Jackson. That's not going to help you in any way, shape, or form. Cam Scatterbo, he has to play that way, right? He's kind of undersized. I'm not even sure if I'm not so sure Cam Scatterbo can be good in any other way except for the way that he plays, because he doesn't have, burner speed. He's, what are you going to give him, 5'10"-ish? He's not a huge back to begin with. Not going to have a very long career taking the hits he's taken, but in the here and now, it works. And Abdul Carter, along with Brian Burns, who's kind of a vet, on the other side of the ball, getting after the quarterback, they're surgical. They're as effective a pass rushing duo as we have in the NFL today. I mean, over the last couple weeks, Abdul Carter Pressure rate's been high. He's been getting to the quarterback on a consistent basis. He's looking like that guy out of Penn State that I said on my show back when I was in Florida before the draft. I thought Abdul Carter was the best player in the draft. I thought his overall upside, his explosiveness, not just because he wore the same number as Micah Parsons, but there was some, not quite as fast as Micah, but there were some similarities with him and the last guy who wore number 11 with the Penn State Nittany Lions. You saw that, and you saw it last night against a great Eagles offensive line. Same thing can be said about Brian Burns, who's been getting after the quarterback for a long time now. Brian Burns has always been underrated, but they pointed this out a few weeks ago when the Giants were playing the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. He just hasn't played for a whole lot of winning teams. Like, you don't see him on television much because he's played for the Panthers and the Giants. Haven't played a lot of football games. And so, listen, by no means whatsoever do I think this New York Giants team is a playoff team. They're 2-4. I mean, we're 5 days removed from Jaxson Dart having a dreadful second half against the New Orleans Saints. Not the Kansas City Chiefs, not the Detroit Lions, who are going to be playing this weekend, against this New Orleans Saints, who I said coming into last week was the worst team in football. So he's going to have bumps and bruises along the way. But first start against the Chargers, used his legs well, was relatively efficient, played within the offense. And again, the last couple of weeks working without Malik Neighbors, Kid has shown some ability that he can develop under Brian Daboll, who, by the way, as we saw last night during the game, and I think Dable's probably going to get in trouble for this, and I think should, looking the medical tent, man saw 2 passes of Russell Wilson, like, where the hell is Jaxson Dart? Get that guy out there. Trying to keep his job. Joe Schoen, same thing, trying to keep his job as the GM of this team, and there is an element for this Giants squad. There's hope. It's very similar, as Saints fans will remember this, that I think 2006 draft class. Remember, like, I think it was Reggie Bush, Marcus Colston. I feel like there was a really important offensive lineman in there. Like Sean Payton talks about all the time. That 06 class for the New Orleans Saints changed everything. Could that be a similar situation with the 2025 Giants draft class? It's too early to tell, but beat the Chargers, albeit a beat-up Chargers team. But hey, baby steps. This is a gradual process. The NFL is not a microwave league. Heck, life is not a microwave thing. It doesn't work that way. It's a process. Things got to bake. You let this develop over time. Daboll, I've always said, is a smart offensive coach. Not as disciplined as I would like. The Giants can at times be a penalized team, but they've got the core set to build from here, to be a team that maybe go into 2026 thinking, oh, the Giants should be a playoff team. They've got not one, but 2 elite pass rushers in Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. On the offensive side of the ball, Jaxson Dart, young quarterback, shows promise, moves well, big arm, plays a little reckless, but hey, he's a rookie. You're going to reel that back in. Cam Skattebo, listen, in no way on planet Earth do I think Cam Skattebo is getting a second contract that is going to vastly exceed the first. But in the here and now, Cam Skattebo works as the number 1 running back in the NFL. You're going to get Malik Neighbors back next year. And by the way, you got an excellent tackle in Andrew Thomas. Excellent left tackle in Andrew Thomas. So looks like Daboll may end up keeping his job. Looks like there's some real promise. I mean, again, I joked a couple of weeks ago when the Giants beat the Chargers for Jaxson Dart's first win that you saw Daboll like just grinning from ear to ear. It reminded me so much of another New York team, the Brooklyn Nets, when Steve Nash was like bear hugging Kevin Durant when he, for the time, saved the Nets season with that big 40 burger against the Milwaukee Bucks. Like, this is a job-saving draft for Joe Schoen, and this is going to be a job-saving performance from his quarterback and from his team in general for Brian Daboll. So both guys, certainly Schoen has been much maligned by myself and others. You let Saquon Barkley walk? This man goes for 2,000 yards, wins Offensive Player of the Year, and is the best player in an offense that wins the Super Bowl? Well, maybe he redeemed himself. Maybe Daboll has redeemed himself. So, big-time win for the Giants. And this comment from my buddy Patrick Brown transitions me perfectly into the Philadelphia Eagles. He says, happy Friday. Cry. What? Boy, he's got something here. Cry, why, shy, lie, bye. A lot of rhymes here. Eagles imploding in real time. Oh, it's a beautiful moment for me as a Cowboys fan. 2018 Warriors vibes after winning a championship. Let's see, here's the thing, Patrick. Here's the thing. You said 2018 Warriors self-imploded. Despite injuries to Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Kevon Looney, Steph Curry wasn't fully healthy. They came 2 wins away from winning a championship. So if the Eagles go to the Super Bowl and lose by 10, it won't be a disastrous season. That's kind of like the NFL equivalent of losing in 6 games in the NBA Finals. Because we all know, despite the self-implosion of the Golden State Warriors, forget if Kevin Durant comes back. Obviously, we know if KD was healthy, the Warriors would have won the finals in 2019. If Klay Thompson, I maintain, Klay never tears, if I can speak today, tears his ACL, the Warriors absolutely win Game 6, and I think they win Game 7 in Toronto. And obviously, if KD's there, they probably gentlemen sweep the Raptors. So it's not totally. If Patrick is right about that, it means the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, I guess. But speaking of Philadelphia, man, there's a how do I go about this? We know Philadelphia has an excellent offensive line, or at least their personnel is excellent. And we know the Philadelphia Eagles wide receiving core, or at least their personnel is excellent. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith. And we know Saquon Barkley, he's reigning offensive player of the year, could have broken Eric Dickerson's record if the Eagles had let him play that last game of the year. In theory, Saquon Barkley's good. And in theory, Jalen Hurts is good as well. I mean, he's the reigning Super Bowl MVP. The man, the biggest 2 games of his career, the 2 Super Bowls against Kansas City, was awesome in both. Outplayed Mahomes the second time. So who's the different, sort of figurehead in all of this? Head coach, the same. Nick Sirianni's the same. Nick Sirianni does not call plays, but in terms of managing the game, or in terms of building a culture, having his guys ready to go, he's good at that. Last night notwithstanding, he's good with that. The Eagles might have their version of what the Denver Broncos / the New York Jets had between 2022 and 2020, or mid-2024. And that is the worst offensive play caller in the National Football League in Kevin Patullo. So if you remember the Broncos, in Denver's case, he was their head coach. In the case of the Jets, it was their OC. In the case of Nathaniel Hackett, it was just, why is he even employed? There's no creativity. It doesn't work at all. The offensive line isn't, there's no cohesion there. The running game doesn't work. The quarterback is playing well below his standard. Why does this guy have a job in the NFL? I asked the same questions about Kevin Patullo. I saw a tweet from Warren Sharp, and if you're not on X, it's not the worst thing ever. It's a pretty terrible app these days, but there are some excellent sources on there, especially relates to football. Warren Sharp is one of the better football follows on Twitter you'll have, because he really gives you kind of the ins and outs and the smallest details from a number standpoint of these matchups. He posted a tweet last night, and I couldn't believe it when I saw it. I'll go and put this up. This is from Warren Sharp on X. Eagles second half drives this year. Okay? On points per drive, scores per drive, drives to reach the red zone, punt rate, yards per drive, 3-and-out rate, EPA per play, yards per play. Last, 31st, 29th, last, 31st. Essentially, they're the worst second half offense in the National Football League. Now, what does that point to? If your personnel is, didn't we all kind of agree coming into the season? And not necessarily that Philadelphia was the consensus best offense, certainly among the best. A team that has arguably the best O-line, has future Hall of Famers potentially at their tackle positions. A guy who is at least trying to put himself with another maybe two more excellent seasons in the Hall of Fame discussion in Saquon Barkley. 2 excellent wide receivers, not 1 but 2. And a quarterback who, as malign as he been, and Jalen Hurts was not good last night. I'm not trying to defend Jalen Hurts. He missed 2 big, deep balls. He had a bad interception when Philadelphia was trying to get back in the game down 10. It was a brutal pick. He had A.J. Brown open. We get that. Jalen Hurts was not good last night, but over the course of the season, he's been solid. All the components from last season are the same, except for the offensive coordinator. And Philadelphia is the worst offense in football in the second half. What does that show you? You can't make adjustments. It shows an inability to be able to adapt on the fly to whatever the other defensive coordinator is throwing at you. And the fact of the matter is Kevin Patullo has not been able to do that. We've seen great teams, Super Bowl contending teams, change OCs midstream. The Buffalo Bills did this in 2023, brought in Joe Brady for the last few games of the season. Bills got hot and could have went to the Super Bowl that year. Bills were dead in the water, got on a 6-game winning streak, won the division, came very close to beating Kansas City in the divisional round. And they've had Joe Brady ever since. Bills' offense has been humming ever since. More balanced ever since. If you look at Philadelphia in the Nick Sirianni era, When they've had great play calling, they've been darn near unstoppable. When they've had great play calling, or at least in the case of one year, great play calling, in the case of another year, mildly competent play calling. Shane Steichen, great play caller, obviously in 2022, or 21 and 22. 22 was his only full season as the full-time play caller. Went to the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts almost won league MVP. 2 years later, Kellen Moore, passable offensive coordinator. Let's not try and rewrite history and act like he's some genius. I've been on Kellen Moore's case for some time now on the show. He went to the Super Bowl and won the Super Bowl. So you can tell early if in any industry, if someone's just kind of in over their head. It's one thing if people, they're making rookie mistakes. Okay, that they'll adjust. Like, these are teachable moments. And in some cases you watch, and I don't want to give examples just because, kind of feels mean, but it could be in the workplace. It could be whatever. And you're like, okay, they're just not ready. They're not adjusting quick enough. That's Kevin Patullo. It doesn't work with the Philadelphia Eagles. And listen, I know he's been on the coaching staff for a while. I think he's buddies with Sirianni. I get that. Playing in the Super Bowl, that's one of the only downsides of playing the Super Bowl is any coaching staff changes are going to come later than literally every other team in the NFL. But that's the reality the Eagles found themselves in, and they're going to have to find a new OC. Somewhere on their staff, they're going to have to find a new OC. Patrick Brown. I guess the Eagles' intervention didn't help. AJ doesn't recall it happening. He's checked out. That was weird. Yeah, AJ Brown was talking about, there was a discussion between he and Jalen Hurts, and it ended up going like 2 hours in the parking lot. And it was, that was a very odd moment. Listen, I've been on the record the last few weeks. I would trade AJ Brown. I think AJ Brown is not indispensable to this Eagles offense being successful. I think we saw that literally last year. But that's where we're at. Okay, we're going to go to break and then talk Bill Belichick, and then obviously have Tim Barnard on the show. He's going to join in about 8 to 10 minutes or so. Carving It Up returns in just 1 minute. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We've got a ton to discuss. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by on this Friday. Like I said, I was just really down in the dumps about missing the show on Wednesday. Like, really, because Wednesdays are some of my favorite shows. You get Bryson's Best 10, Carving Up the Context, and it's great. I really, oh my gosh, I wanted so bad to react to the Monday Night Football game because, oh, my guy for the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence, always showed up and showed out. Oh, that was beautiful. Oh, the stumbling twice, running it in for the goal. That was beautiful. Oh my goodness. That was, of course, the one-day Trevor. He finally lives up to what I believe he could be, and I'm sick, so I can't make the show. But it was amazing to see Trevor Lawrence. He's going to continue to do that the rest of the year. Just wait. I told y'all the Jacksonville Jaguars, they were the surprising team in the AFC. Now, to be fair, so have the Indianapolis Colts. But I'm telling you, he's coming. This first half Trevor's is different. Second half of the season, Trevor. Last time he was fully healthy for the second half of the season was 2022, and he was pretty good down the stretch. I'm just saying. It was great to see. Shout out to the Jaguars. But here's someone who definitively does not deserve a shout-out. And that is Bill Belichick, the head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels in college football. So it's been reported the last few days that Bill and the higher-ups in the program at North Carolina have been working on a buyout. Now, as we know, the contract, and I remember discussing this during the offseason when Bill first signed to be the head coach there, that the buyout was, the terms were really, let's just say it gave Bill the as easy an opportunity as possible to go back to the NFL because the buyout was pretty cheap. Like this felt from the beginning that, I mean, first of all, forget the fact that Bill Belichick is 74, 75 years old. Like that's, of course, it's not going to be a long-term fit in that regard just because of father time. But also, Bill's not really a college football coach. That's not his DNA. But I think it goes back to something that I've said many times over the last few years about Belichick is that, look, it would be completely unfair for us to judge Bill on his own, Bill without Tom Brady, and expect him to have even similar success as he did with Tom Brady. It's not fair. I'm not asking Steve Kerr to go out there and win 4 championships if he doesn't have Steph Curry, right? I'm not going to ask any great coach who doesn't have an all-time legendary player to be as successful or even close to it. In the case of Bill, he had quite literally the greatest football player that's ever existed, Tom Brady. But without Tom, particularly post-Tom, it's been embarrassing. Because the thing is, and I think this doesn't get nearly enough, at least in the context of Brady on his own, Belichick his own, who deserves the credit for the dynasty, all of that. Like, I think people generally agree it's Tom, but there's not enough weight put on the fact that people are like, okay, Tom wasn't a Patriot anymore. No. Tom did not force his way out of New England. This wasn't classic. Star got disgruntled, left. That was it. No. Bill pushed him out because, Tom's whole thing was, man, can somebody get open? I remember his last year in New England, he was literally seen yelling to Patriots receiver, can somebody get effing open? And I remember watching, it was my first year doing the show, thinking, this is embarrassing. No one can separate. Tom's still got something left in the tank. And we saw, of course, in Tampa, won a Super Bowl in year 1 and year 2. I thought he should win league MVP. I think he finished second to Aaron Rodgers. He was phenomenal in year 23, I guess that was. Or year 22, rather. But without Brady, 7-9 in 2020. Again, push Tom out the door. 7-9 in 2020. 11-6 in 2021, to his credit. Went to the playoffs, but then they got absolutely positively housed by the Bills. You were supposed to lose the Bills. That's one thing. It's quite another to lose to Buffalo in a game where the Bills did not punt. That is a real stat. The Bills did not punt in the game. The next year, missed the playoffs. The next year, I believe it was 4 wins, missed the playoffs. Out of coaching because no one wanted to hire. There were, 8 coaching jobs open in the 2024 offseason? Nobody wanted him. Only Atlanta interviewed him, and then they were like, actually, Raheem Morris, I know he kind of bombed as a head coach before this, and he's a good DC, but obviously doesn't have the defensive resume Belichick does. But we trust Raheem Morris more because he's not going to be a pain in the ass for a front office. We'll go with him. And now Bill's at North Carolina, and we're in October, and they're already talking buyout. Is that no one is expecting Bill, and it would be unfair for us to do so, to expect him to have anything similar in terms of success, any success even that parallels in any way, shape, or form what he did with Tom. But obviously when Tom goes and wins a Super Bowl immediately after he leaves, and when you look at other coaches, the biggest example I've always given is Andy Reid. Yes, Andy Reid, of course, it helps Andy Reid have Patrick Mahomes and vice versa. Of course, they're a match made in football heaven. But Andy Reid was 4 NFC Championship games, 5 NFC Championship games, and a Super Bowl before he ever had Patrick Mahomes come into his life. He was winning divisions with the Kansas City Chiefs before Patrick Mahomes ever became the starter in Kansas City. Like, Andy Reid wasn't, the kind of knock on Andy Reid was, can't win the big game. It was never, God, this is a disaster. Philly's a mess. Kansas City can't. They were winning games. They just couldn't get to the next level because it was Donovan McNabb and it was Alex Smith, like good franchise level quarterbacks, but not like special talents. Once he gets the special talent, then he wins. And so it's bad. It's gotten more and more embarrassing by the day for Bill Belichick and his. I've joked often. Brady retired after the 2022 season, so this is his 3rd year out of football. He's closer to Hall of Fame eligibility than he's not, and yet his GOAT case feels like it gets boosted by the week based on what's happened with Bill Belichick in North Carolina. So there you go. And with that, and I feel like it is only fitting that we give the next guest coming onto the show a fitting introduction because, and I'll probably ask him about Bill Belichick. I'm sure he won't mind that. He's a Patriots fan. But more than that, I mean, come on, what happened on Wednesday night? Was it not a beautiful thing to see? Big Poppy, take it away, buddy. Poppy, where we got him? Here we go.
Yankees lose.
Yankees lose. The Yankees lose. Let's go, baby.
But you don't take it.
Tim Barnard is joining the show right now. Timmy, is that not just a beautiful introduction to bring you into the show?
Oh, that was fantastic.
Listen, I often play the Big Poppy, Yankees lose a bit on this show all the time. But that was seeing him and Vlad Guerrero after the game and A-Rod and Jeter just dying on live television on Fox. That was fantastic to see. But Tim, host the Boss Support Summit. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm pretty good. Happy it's Friday. Glad the Yankees lost. And I will say this, it's so funny because we all want to talk about how great the NBA on TNT with Shaq, Barkley, and all those guys are, which they are. They are,
of course,
by far the best group, pregame, postgame, all of that. And it's so funny because you see A-Rod and Jeter, they want to be so professional, so clean cut. So, oh, yes, well, they had a bad performance. They had a good performance, like just right down the middle. They're not trying to hide it. But David Ortiz comes in there and F's Bleep up. Like, that's his job. And even just watching on X, seeing him pour the vodka into Frank Thomas's cup.
Yep.
Again, he doesn't care. He's already had it. He's already done everything. And every single time David Ortiz rubs it in, you could see Jeter's soul just die even more because he's still a Yankee at heart.
Of course.
And Ortiz is still a Red Sox at heart. That isn't a David Ortiz 2004 jersey. Like, it's just so funny. It really is. And, David Ortiz makes that show without a doubt.
Oh, he does. And I was, talking to you guys in the group chat a couple days ago is that, I was in Bristol for the Speedway Classic. Well, I guess 1 inning of the Speedway Classic before it got rained out, unfortunately. But I got to see the pregame show live. And he's the life of the party, Tim. Like he's up close. Like that's his shtick. He's authentic to who he is. And it's why he was the life of the Red Sox clubhouse for over a decade and obviously helped deliver 3 World Series titles. But so let's talk about the Red Sox right now. So, as I've kind of had, we're both obviously massive Red Sox fans. As I've had time to marinate, it's been a week since the wild card series loss to the Yankees. What's weird is as far as the season itself played out, I'm not even all that down and, down the dumps about it because honest to God, I did not expect this to be a World Series team entering the playoffs. I did not think they could win 3 straight series, and go to the Fall Classic. Where I'm nervous, how does the front office approach the offseason? That is the one thing that I am really kind of on pins and needles about. What's that?
Yeah, you and every other Red Sox fan. If we are to take what they've done in the past and learn from it, you would think their goal is to actually do something, go out, make big splashes, go and make moves. We don't know because as I've posted on this, on my show, there is a beautiful clip from one of the Red Sox beat writers on the Fenway Rundown podcast that he does. And because, of course, everybody's got a podcast, but he openly talks about how it's well known that when John Henry assesses whether to invest in a team or not, he's looking at the world title Fangraph playoff odds. He's not looking at, are we going to make the playoffs? Are we an ALDS contender, an ALCS contender? Even getting to the World Series. No. It's, are you going to win it? What are your odds at winning it? Then I will invest, which is, in my mind, counterintuitive to how baseball is played. Because everyone loves to talk about Moneyball and the movie and the book and Billy Beane and how, it's so easy to win while spending cheap, where it's not. Also, everyone loves to leave out the fact, especially that movie, where their three pitchers were Tim Hudson, Mark Mulder, and Barry freaking Zito. They had Miguel Tejada at shortstop, Eric Chavez at third. The team wasn't trash. That just magically won 21 straight games or 20 straight games. So it's funny. And I agree with you. I am just as nervous. Now, I thought going into the season that we were a postseason bound team, but I wasn't expecting a deep run. It was just get in and we'll see what happens.
Right.
Unfortunately for us, when we got in, that game one lineup, I was looking at it going,
it was weird.
We're trash. We won game one, which is why we were so jumping up and down for joy. But it's like deep down, looking at that lineup, at least offensively, we were trash. So, again, yeah, it sucks to lose to New York. It's never easy. But, I don't want to give them credit, but I kind of objectively am saying, yeah, they were the better team than us. No two ways about it. So
they were.
Yeah.
No, it tastes like poison. It really does. Tim.
It does.
It's awful. Real quick, a couple of comments here. Barry Grant Jr. Beirut, which it's in reference to the closed captioning gaffe on the part of the FCC on David Ortiz. That was absolutely hysterical. And he is absolutely correct when he says this. No power after the Devers trade. No, there was no power at all. Like that was. Didn't Trevor Story lead the team with like 25 homers? I think it was. So like that was a huge problem the rest of the year. So is that something you think that they'll address in free agency? Is this a point of emphasis for them?
Well, the hard part with that is who is the guy that's got the power? First of all, Devers was they want to talk about having homegrown products, this, that, and the other. Well, Mookie Betts, homegrown product. Xander Bogaerts, homegrown product. Rafael Devers, homegrown product. Yet all three of those guys, peace, see ya. We're going to trade you for magic beans and hope they work, but they never did. Secondly, with Rafael Devers, he was a Yankees killer.
Oh,
who's going to take that mantle? I mean, Roman Anthony could very well take that mantle, but when you're looking at the upcoming free agent market, sure, Pete Alonso, I think we all know, is going to be available. Which, again, as a Gator fan, that's my guy. But defensively, at first, everyone is talking about how he's not that great defensively at first. So you're really, what are you getting out of it? Secondly, Kyle Schwarber is supposed to be out in the market. I would love to bring back Kyle from Waltham. The nickname that Section 10 gave him, which was hilarious, even though the guys never, grew up in Massachusetts. But, Kyle Schwarber, Dave Dombrowski, I think, has stated over the last couple of weeks that he's going to do everything in his power to keep Kyle Schwarber for the rest of his career. And I don't blame him. But with Schwarber, again, he's not a natural first baseman. If anything, you're bringing him in to be your DH, and he can play first base at times. So again, that's why I almost talked about free agency last night when I did my show. But the more I was thinking about it, the more I'm trying to break it down. We still don't know who's going to be available. And that's where I am wondering, again, what are we going to do? Who is available, even on the trade market, for that matter? And yes, we do have the farm system to go and get guys. But, Connolly Early, I love him. Peyton Tolley, love him. Everybody else, see ya. I would give up Christian Campbell. If I get the right deal, I would give up Marcelo Meyer. But to me, the farm system, we're keeping Tolley, Early, and Roman. Everybody else is available.
I tend to agree with that. I'd probably be more so keeping Meyer as well. I like to just for the right deal, like you said.
But yeah, if we're getting a stud superstar and we have to give up X, Y, and Z, and it's Meyer, Duran, and then one, maybe two other guys who are lower tier, then sure. But that has to be a stud,
For sure. Let's transition to your Patriots now, because they had a probably. Is this the biggest win? And there you go. May's second year leap. And that was the title of your show last night. Great show as always in the Boston Sports Summit. Is this, first of all, is this the biggest Patriots win since Brady left? Is that a fair statement to make? I'm just kind of putting you on the spot there, but it felt big.
Oh, it was massive, absolutely massive. You could argue that Mac Jones winning in Buffalo as well was, on par. But then when you break it down, obviously we just came off the Cam Newton year. We got Mac Jones, a rookie, and we ran the ball 3 effing times. Or no.
Threw the ball. I think it was like 2 for 3 or something.
Ball.
Yeah.
We threw the ball 3 effing times. So, again, that's why you could go back to that. But, yeah, I think the last, big-time victory was the 2018 Super Bowl. 2018-19 season, beating the Rams for the second time. Because with this game, okay, yes, it's Vrabel's first season. The Patriots are, still trying to find their way. They're committing a ton of penalties, 43 penalties, which is second in the NFL, only 1 shy of the Vikings. So they're very undisciplined, as part of that game showed, with Joshua Fama taking out James Cook there. But the thing about it was Drake Maye, one of my biggest worries was during the preseason, he was overshooting guys. He was throwing the ball super high. And he was talking about his jitters and all of these things. The fact that they had him roll out to his left and he drilled Stephon Diggs right in the chest for the very first play of the game for New England, I think said a lot. And it set the tone for the team, which you clearly saw. This was a Drake Maye win, which is why I think it's so massive for the Patriots moving forward, because it shows that, okay, we had no run game on Sunday night. And the fact that we could put it all on Drake Maye's shoulders, while it's probably not ideal for the whole season, I think is a stepping stone with him that you get his first primetime game. It's against the reigning MVP up in Buffalo, and Drake Maye had a game-winning drive to end it, and which is his first game-winning drive in his career. The one other thing I do want to just say, which, again, I know I'm rambling a little bit here, but
go on.
Since these stats were being tracked in 1983, do you not want to know how rare this win was for New England? It was a road game. They were 7.5 point or more underdogs. They didn't win the time of possession. Drake Maye had a lower passer rating because he didn't throw a touchdown. We had more penalty yards, fewer total yards, and all teams who fit that criteria prior to Sunday night's game were 7 and 411, a .017 win percentage. Now we're 8 and 4-11. So I like that.
I do too, and that again, that's a culture win. Now, a lot of that, obviously, the first thing when you list those stats, I'm like, okay, that I go right to the turnovers, obviously, because being able to take it from Josh Allen and that Bills offense 3 times. But I gave the stat the other night on the show. If I can pull this up here from Drake Maye, second half he was again no touchdowns, but was outstanding. Threw only 1 incompletion, pass rating almost of 120, a game-winning drive, of course. Like it's you make a really smart point that. Obviously, you don't want Drake Maye to have to do it all the time, to have to kind of carry the load of the offense without a running game. But just the fact in year 2 that he can do it, that is the encouraging sign if you're a Patriots fan. And I think, I've often said the Bill Parcells rule, the former Patriots coach, by the way, but the former Bill Parcells rule, he's always said, year 1's a development year. Year 2, you need to see a bounce. And if by year 3 you're not sure, you go to in a different direction.
Exactly.
I don't think it's... I don't want to be premature on this, but I really think y'all have your franchise guy. I do. Am I crazy to kind of anoint him as that right now?
No, I think you're spot on, because then when you look at the other guys in that draft, it was clear cut. Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake Maye.
Right.
Jaden Daniels, unbelievable last year without a doubt. He's been injured this year, and kind of actually his frame is looking more realistic now than it has throughout his career. That was a concern. Exactly. So with that, then you go to Caleb Williams, which I think you and I have discussed even on the 8 o'clock spot, that I've never been a Caleb Williams fan. As soon as I saw him absolutely ball, lose it in his mother's arms in USC, I knew right then and there, listen, he could be successful to some degree, but he will never live up to that number one spot. And credit to Chicago, they're doing everything in their power to get this kid successful. Revamped O-line and all that with the weapons. But Drake Maye, you gave him such an awful offense last year. Now, Van Pelt has been known to at least develop quarterbacks, and I think he did to some degree. But he was not a good play call by any stretch of the imagination, and Drake Maye never really showed. He showed a play here and there that, maybe we've got something. But he could never string it together. He could never be turnover free. He would always try to do too much. Even some of the plays late in games, he would try to go after a guy who at the time, was open, but then it would all of a sudden turn into double coverage, intercepted. The other team would go on to win. So now with this, I think it's a culture win, like you said, for Mike Vrabel. I think it also solidifies in Drake Maye's mind that he can do this. That as long as he just takes what the defense gives him, he understands what's going on, he doesn't need to do too much. That's not what he should be doing anyway. Just hit the check down, hit the dump off, hit the guy, coming across on the slant, on the drag, in the flat. And then once you get that going, then you can hit the play action deep. So I think, I do agree with you. I think this is the show that I think we got our franchise guy.
That's big time news if you're a Patriots fan after the kind of the 5 years of wasteland post Brady. Like this is that win just it felt big. That was not one of 17 for the New England Patriots. And I think what I was thinking about with Vrabel, and this sort of transitions me in my next question that I was going to ask you about Belichick. Vrabel's almost like all the best qualities about Belichick without the worst qualities, in the sense that Vrabel's a hard ass. Vrabel gets on his guys. He's old school, right? He's defensive coach. Every single Patriot knows that guy will fight like hell for them. Like he's got their back. You didn't necessarily feel that way about Belichick. And I think that's why, Belichick kind of has a backstabbing aura about him. Mm-hmm. So just quickly about Bill, your reaction to the report of North Carolina, your reaction, you were in the studio when I was kind of giving my take on this. Am I out of bounds on it? Am I crazy? Am I what's your take? Because obviously you're a Patriots fan. You've been a Bill fan, over time. What's your thoughts on this whole situation in North Carolina?
Oh, yeah. First of all, just speaking on Bill, again, growing up with him and the dynamic, it made sense. And in kind of learning from afar, basically, I understood the whole never treat your superstar differently. Always treat him the same, which means he was going after he was going after Brady, saying, Brady, I could get a kid from Foxborough High School to hit that out route. What are you doing? Like stuff like that. I think you and I have had this discussion offline before where you're right. His ego just overtook him to a whole other level that has really tarnished his legacy. And it sucks as a Bill guy. Not saying that I chose Bill over Brady. No. Sure. But as a Bill guy, it's hard to watch because I do want to watch my coach, just ride out into the sunset, basically. You want to see your athletes ride out in the sunset. You want to see your coaches ride out in the sunset. Tom Landry didn't have a great ending to his Cowboys career.
No.
And they talked about that. And it's wild, but it's hard to watch. And it's when the whole Jordan thing came about, you knew immediately, if you followed Bill at all, for a short amount of time or a very long amount of time, you knew with this whole Jordan thing that it was only going to end one way, and it was going to be bad, because the man who preached zero distractions, zero outside noise was the man creating all the distractions, all the outside noise from the very first Ring video that appeared online. And it's been awful to see. And the worst part about it is his egotistical ass going on and telling these guys, I know what it takes to get to the NFL. I can do this for you. I can do that. Where you're still at UNC, which is not a football school. And two, you're clearly not coaching these guys up to make the NFL. On top of, again, as I mentioned earlier, calling out Brady, calling out your superstars. He's given his superstars everything. He's given his players everything, his superstar players everything. Family being on the sidelines, doing all these, crazy things. And also, I don't know if you caught this, but he told the Virginia quarterback when he entered the transfer portal who wanted to go to UNC, him and Mike Lombardi told him that you don't have what it takes to play in the NFL. And now he's 4-1 at friggin' Virginia. So Belichick has not only lost his fastball when it came to drafting and all that and talent evaluation, the guy's lost his friggin' marbles. And all I can say is I pray that his will is still totally written to his kids and has nothing to do with Jordan, because I can only imagine the Jezebel spirit that's going on in her that's, got her her tentacles wrapped around Bill and changing the will in her favor and all that. So it's crazy, man. It's crazy what's going on with him.
I remember when the CBS Sunday morning interview came out and that whole fiasco with the book release and everything. It's one of the most bizarre brand shifts I've ever seen by a public figure. I mean, the reason I was just, nodding my head the whole time, you're saying everything that I've said. Like, this is everything that he claimed to be against for 20 years. And now, it's a completely different direction. A lot of it clearly is a directive from his, girlfriend, where there's a 5-decade age gap. And it's so bizarre, man. Like, even for Clemson, right? Like, it looks like Clemson season's going down the tracks. Just play North Carolina. We're good. Cade Klubnik's a Heisman candidate. Dabo's seats not hot anymore. We're great. It's a disaster. North Carolina is probably going to win about 4 or 5 games this year, and Belichick's going to be bought out. And I would be truly stunned if he has any role in the National Football League next year. I think his brand, everything is completely tarnished. So there's no question about that. I'll be honest. The reason I really wanted to get you on, of course, we want to talk Red Sox, and we both came prepared. I know. See, I sometimes I wish the audience could be in on some of our just shenanigans in our Grid Network group chat. It's a good time. We have a blast. We have a lot of great camaraderie, and sometimes there'll be occasional takes by you, myself, Barry, Mike, anybody that kind of leaves everybody scratching their heads. And I must admit, sir, you had that the other night for me. You said, and I quote, Patrick Mahomes is an above average quarterback. I will give you the floor.
First of all, with Patrick Mahomes, this is okay. I'm going to preface this because it is also personal for me in a way. As a Patriot fan, it is personal.
Okay.
With Patrick Mahomes, since day one, the man was anointed God's gift to football. And when you had some of his throws, which, again, on the run, doing some of these things, it's like, wow, okay, hey, what a throw, right? What a play by Mahomes. The one that really drove me up a wall was the whole, oh my God, look at the no-look pass. Look at him looking at the linebacker, but he's throwing this way. Like, if the wide receiver was open, if Mahomes was staring him down, he would still be open. So that's number one. Looking off a safety, that's one thing. I totally understand looking off a safety, looking off a DB, but then you turn and fire. Secondly, him in the prime time, everyone wants to say like he's this great prime time quarterback, or not prime time, but big time quarterback. He comes through, which there are games where, he absolutely did that. What was it, 13 seconds against Buffalo a few years back?
Oh, yeah.
Again, crazy. should have never happened if you're Buffalo. This is why I hate the prevent defense. If anything, I'd be playing man coverage with my 3 safeties. You know, my 3 safeties are 60 yards back, but my
I'll tell you why that should have never happened, because Buffalo should have squibbed it to begin with. But that's but go ahead.
Yeah. So then when you look at it again, you want to talk about some of his Super Bowl stats, and some of his stats I'll absolutely give you. He was very good, especially in this San Francisco game last year or 2 years ago, right? One of the two. But when you look at his game, especially against Tampa and last night, if you want to give me the full game, I will respectfully disagree with how good he was in both those games. Because in the Tampa game, through 3 quarters, he had a 46% completion percentage, 114 yards, and 1 interception. That was through 3 quarters, and he ended up finishing with 277 yards. So he gained 163 yards in the final quarter. When the fourth quarter started, the score was 31-9, Tampa. So 163 total garbage yards. Then when you want to talk about the Philly game, he finished with 257 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks on a 65.6 completion percentage. Prior to the stat padding, which I would argue is right around the time Xavier Worthy caught that touchdown, the first touchdown for Kansas City, he was 8 for 18 with a 44.4% completion percentage, 61 pass yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 picks, a sub-20 passer rating. Now, the reason why it's personal for me, and I would argue a lot of Patriot fans, is two things. Number one, the Mahomes dynasty kind of bled into our dynasty for that 1, maybe 2 year in 17 and 18 we're wrapping up our dynasty, but you could tell they were coming forward. Basically, they were going to be the next team, right?
Sure.
And when you look at a lot of these dynasties, you have the 60s Packers. Then you wait a decade, you get to the 70s Steelers and Cowboys. But it was most of the Steelers.
It was the Steelers.
You get to the 80s, you get the Niners. Like another decade, you get to the Niners. Then you got another decade, you got the Cowboys. Then you wait a decade, then you got us for 2 decades. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So while we were a 20-year dynasty, basically, you always had this period of waiting. There was no back-to-back. There was no blend, right?
That's fair.
So that's one. The second one is Tom Brady throughout the first part of his career. So the three-time era, right? The first part of his career was he's a system quarterback. He's a system quarterback. It's the defense winning the championships.
Right.
Then 07 hits, and kind of everyone wakes up and is like, all right, if you get this guy some guys, maybe he can do something. But he never really got full credit, because with 07, it became Spygate. And it was, the Patriots were cheating. He still won the MVP in 07. He won the MVP in 2010 with only 3 interceptions, or 2 or 3 interceptions that year. And then we get to losing in 11. And basically from there on, it was Brady's going to fall off a cliff. Brady's going to fall off a cliff. Brady's going to fall off a cliff. Not once with Brady wearing his New England jersey did he ever get the true recognition that he deserved from the media. So when you have this kid who, again, still has his coach, still has his tight end, yes, Tyreek Hill got traded, but you still have these guys, who Travis Kelce doesn't look the same. And it's clearly showing in Mahomes' statistics, because going into the playoffs last year, Mahomes sucked. Like, it was arguably.
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, he had a pass rating in the low 90s. I wouldn't say sucked. Yeah.
It was arguably his worst year, and then
That's fair.
him by sucked. It was by his standard.
By his standard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So going into the playoffs, he was not good by his standards, by what he's done prior. So you knew there was something off, and yes, they got 15 wins, but again, it was the defense. Then of course he goes to Tampa. He wins, and I'll give people the argument that, yeah, Brady went on the road in New Orleans. No one was there. He went on the road in Green Bay. No one was there. And then he played the Super Bowl in Tampa. So, again, then he finally got his flowers, basically. It's almost like, and it's almost like I don't want to talk politics, but it's the example like burns in my head. It's almost like when you see the mainstream media talk about a Republican president, doesn't matter who, Bush, Trump, whatever, Reagan, that while they're in office, they're going to do X, Y, and Z. The world's going to end. They're this, that, and the other. But then when, they're out of office, they die, whatever, the mainstream media glorifies them. Oh, what a great president they were. And, this, that, and the other. So it's just kind of the double standard talking out of both sides of your mouth. Now, that's the only political thing I want to talk about. But that's kind of my issue with the whole Mahomes thing. So, yes, do I enjoy when Patrick Mahomes sucks? You bet your ass. And at least I can say, as a Patriot fan, Tom Brady was never this bad at all. He never stat padded in any Super Bowl. Now, were some of his completion percentages off? Of course they were. But there was no ever opportunity for him to stat pad. So there's that, because he kept the team in the game every single time. So
what I've gathered is, and I don't even know if I even disagree with a lot of what you said from your issue is a who gets credit, kind of standpoint. Because Brady wasn't even in Brady's own era, wasn't as aesthetically pleasing, from a natural talent perspective, certainly as like an Aaron Rodgers, or he wasn't as
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, no question. Like, it was always, those guys, they drag their franchise, Brady just get the perfect situation, which I could not agree with you more. I thought was a nonsense narrative for years. And it took him literally going to another team to prove that, ridiculous. My thing is, and Pat wasn't even, no way am I saying Patrick Mahomes had a great 2024 season. My issue was you saying that he was above average, and that's it. And I think, again, I'll show this graphic on the show. That ain't above average. And again, Brady's the runaway go. That goes without saying. That's an insane resume for a guy before he even turned 30 years old. Would you not agree with that?
Of course. Yeah. No,
okay.
It is. And can I also, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, feel free. No. Go ahead.
I do want to say, you're talking about a Brady who, first of all, won his first 10 games in the postseason. He was 10-0 in the postseason.
Yeah.
Second of all, it wasn't really until 2013, 2014, 15 maybe, where the NFL really started to get going in terms of this pass-happy league that it is, where, it's Brady. Again, there's a great clip of Brady in 2002 who gets his head taken out up in Buffalo. Yeah. And he pops right up. And,
yep.
He might have been a little dazed, but he popped right up. And it's like, all right, let's go. It was a totally different era. And yes, you want to talk about Brady, turning the quarterback, passing interference into roughing the passer, into what it is today. Sure, fine. I'll secede to that. No problem. But he also played in an era where it was defense was on top of you. It was much harder to get open. It was the Colts and Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and Tony Dungy who bitched and complained to the NFL saying that we need our space in order to do our routes. And yet the Patriots still beat him the following year in the playoffs when the NFL gave into that.
Sure.
So it was just a totally different era for the first half of Brady's year, which Mahomes has never experienced. And again, I understand. I am not going to sit here and doubt and argue with the talent that the kid has. It's almost like our Jordan LeBron debate. I will never doubt LeBron's talent. I just don't. There's a lot of reasons why I don't like LeBron. But I will always give Michael the GOAT. I don't care. LeBron can score another.
I think GOAT is almost similar though than what we're talking about, because I have criticized folks to me that were trying to elevate. Oh, Patrick, what Tom did those last 7-8 years or so of his career to just, blow out the field of contenders for that GOAT title. Patrick's going to have a pretty insane decade to even get into that discussion, to where it's okay, Patrick's got 6 rings and 4 MVPs. We've got a ways
to have to do that without Kelsey, probably without Reed at some point.
You could argue though that Tom had the greatest tight end of all time in his prime for a long time.
I would argue he has the greatest tight end of all time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not like Brady was devoid of talent. Listen, we can have this. We could do an hour-long podcast, this Tim and Frank. Honestly, once the football season is over, once we get to once we get to the summer, there's really not much to talk about other than the fact that hopefully our Red Sox are good. This is a great content filler, let's put it that way. Finally, before we get out of here, we've got Saturday Morning Tailgate tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time. Myself, Tim Barnard, Arthur Hurst, to talk college football. I imagine last weekend was probably your first great one of the season with Billy Napier, who, listen, Nick Saban or Billy Napier coaching for his job? I don't know. That's a discussion. That's a debate on who the better coach is, Tim. But Florida getting a big win over Texas. But your sort of thoughts going into tomorrow's show and to the college football weekend. How you feeling about it?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm always excited to do the Saturday Morning Tailgate. How can you not? It's always fun talking college football, especially when your team is good. It's even better. The only issue is I said it to you. I've said it to Arthur. And this will be the first time I say it out in public. The Florida Gators got a fake top 10 win on Sunday.
Can I tell you something? You kind of alluded to that indirectly by where you ranked Texas in your top 25. Me and Arthur thought you were crazy. That's a W for Tim Barnard. I'm not gonna lie.
And it's funny because I did tell the story of I'm going through it. I had one spot open and I'm trying to look. I'm like, where am I missing? Who am I missing? And all of a sudden I saw Texas. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot to rank Texas. And then my spot that was open was 21. And I'm looking at my list and I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Like I'm not gonna move them up just because of the friggin' Longhorn logo. Like that's dumb. And because what have they done? So did Arch Manning look horrendous on Saturday? No, that was arguably Arch Manning's best game going against a real team. But for my Gators, yeah, all my friends are like, where has this been? Billy, why does it have to come to this? And you see all the Gator pundits talking about it, kind of being happy about it, but also, a little nervous, rightfully so. But I'm looking at it going, okay, yeah, sure. They should have won that game, and they did win that game. Granted, Billy still can't manage the friggin' clock at the end of the damn game, but
no.
I'm looking at it going, yeah, great, golf clap. Fake top 10 win. They were not a real top 10 team, no matter the number next to them. So, again, and I don't say that because I had Texas at 21st. I say that because watching Texas all season, they did not look good. Yeah, no. They beat out Sam Houston State, big friggin' whoop. So, again, I'm excited. It's going to be a fun one. Gators got A&M tomorrow in College Station, so not going to be an easy one. But I don't know. Hopefully, Dallas Wilson balls out again on tomorrow because that dude is the truth. Dallas Wilson, good God.
Well, let me ask you. This is the last question. I'll let you go. Are you still considering that potential bet for Tennessee, Florida that we've got for, I guess that's November 23rd is when that game is? For those that didn't catch last week's Saturday Morning Tailgate, it was if Tennessee wins, Or sorry, if Florida wins, I do that, and I'm not going to do it on the show because it's basically an obscenity on carving it up. Do the Gator Chomp for, I think, 2 minutes straight while we're doing the show. Or if Tennessee wins, you have to sing the main chorus of Rocky Top. Come on, Tim, let's do it. It's good for the audience. Let's do it.
Let's do it. All
okay,
right.
Boom. We got a deal. Okay, there you go. And carving up live right there.
Hey, it's in Gainesville. I don't care how. The only thing that would scare me is if we do get rid of Billy by then, and
he's not coaching for his job.
Well, yeah. One, he's not coaching for his job, or two, we get a coordinator in who's in over their head, and we just tank the rest of the year. That's the only thing that's going to worry me. Otherwise, yeah, let's do it.
Hey, let's do it. Listen, I was 3 months old the last time that you guys lost to us in the swamp, so I'm hoping that history will not repeat itself as it has for the last 2 decades. Tim Barnard, where can they catch your show, buddy?
Wednesdays, 7 p.m. on the Grid Network. You can also follow me on X and Instagram at Boston Sports Summit. X is a little bit shorter. It's BOS Sports Summit. But, yeah, I'm there. I got Twitch. I got everything. So check me out. It's a good show talking all about Boston, baby.
Heck yeah. Tim Barnard, see you tomorrow, my man. Have a good one.
See you tomorrow.
Tim Barnard, Boston Sports Summit. Great stuff as always. Yeah, listen, he and I don't even disagree on what I found to be utterly absurd narratives about Brady that persist. I don't need these headphones anymore, actually. That persist over the course of the last, really all of his career, except for that time, except for that brief period in Tampa where it's, maybe it wasn't all Belichick. Maybe Tom Brady won 6 Super Bowls and 3 league MVPs. Maybe he's not a product of what system? It's kind of like Danny Amendola said years ago, and Danny Amendola obviously won championships with Brady in New England as a wide receiver. It's like Amendola said, it's not the Patriots way, it's Tom Brady way. And we've seen that since. And now Vrabel takes over. It's like, this is a Patriots way. This is a culture. This is something that New England fans like Tim can really get around. So great stuff. Definitely check out the Boston Sports Summit every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, at 4 p.m. Pacific. It really kind of comes right after my Wednesday show. So it's kind of perfect. So catch Carving Up Wednesday, catch Boston Sports Summit on Wednesday as well. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, the Vol View, baby. Tennessee got a big game against Arkansas this week and come out the bye. Talk about that after the break on Carving It Up Live. Welcome back to Carving Up Live. Thanks, everybody, for stopping by on this Friday. So excited to be back. Before I get to the Vol View, I will go ahead and pull this up. So, again, I missed Wednesday's show, which Wednesday show I do Bryson's Best 10. So this is going to look, after last night's result, a touch outdated if I can find the list. Okay, here it is. Bryson's Best 10. This is how it looks going into Week 6. So I had the Detroit Lions, ladies and gentlemen. You know what? Just for the sake of fun here. Hey, Dan Campbell, what did you do on Bryce's Best 10 this week?
Kneecap.
The kneecaps have been bitten really all every single game except for the Packers game, but I've got Detroit number 1. I had Tampa Bay, ladies and gentlemen, moving up 5 spots in the number 2 spot. Baker Mayfield, to me, is the clear MVP frontrunner, followed closely, by the way, by Dak Prescott. But listen, this Bucs defense has some concerns, but offensively, missing as many pieces as they are, and the fact that Emeka Egbuka is just, we want to talk about Baker as the frontrunner for MVP. Emeka Egbuka is not the frontrunner for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He is the runaway. It is him by a landslide for that title. Philadelphia moved down 1 spot to 3. They're going to move a little bit more, next week. after that loss to the Giants. Buffalo stays with that at 4. Again, I was more impressed by New England than I was discouraged by Buffalo in that game. So, like I said, Nick Wright has a great saying when he has his power rankings that it's not the standings. It's not the standings. This isn't college football rankings where one loss, guess you have to drop. Don't feel that way for the Bills. Colts move up to number 5. They were not ranked. I was kind of waiting to see enough from this Indianapolis team to feel comfortable putting them in at all. And I know the Raiders are exactly the benchmark for how good of a team are you, depending on how you play against the Raiders. But I'm sorry, based on how they performed in that game and how dominant they looked all season long, I mean, their only loss came because of an A.D. Mitchell mistake against the Rams. They're the number 5 spot. Rams moved down a spot if that lost San Francisco to 6. Jacksonville, baby. Trevor Lawrence up 3 spots to number 7. Kansas City, that's a green -5. It should be a red -5. But Kansas City still falls 5 spots. Their offense looks fantastic. It looks like it's all the way back. As for the defense, there are some concerns. Green Bay stays where they're at number 9. And San Francisco, unranked last week, they move into that number 10 spot. Them being 4-1 with all the injuries is a testament to the offensive play calling brilliance on the part of Kyle Shanahan. It's just unbelievable what he's been able to do. So that's Bryson's best 10 for this week. With that, the Vol View starts, ladies and gentlemen, right now.
In Tennessee.
Indeed it is. It's good to be back for Tennessee football this weekend. They got a big-time matchup this weekend against the Arkansas Razorbacks, a team that literally just fired their coach a couple weeks ago. Sam Pittman was fired. Arkansas has gotten off to a 2-3 start, but it's not the typical, they're just kind of a mid-team. They've been that close to winning 2 games against 2 top 25 ranked teams, currently top 25 ranked teams, in Ole Miss and against Memphis. But fumbles kind of doomed them late in both of those matchups. So brutal loss for Arkansas. Now, Bobby Petrino, of all people, takes over the job of being the head coach of the Arkansas Razorbacks. Obviously, he has a history with that program, long history with that program. So Arkansas's coming in. They're desperate. They want to try and get a win. For Tennessee, so they're coming off of a bye. Right now, as we say today, they're the 12th ranked team in the country. Ended up moving up 3 spots of rankings because of all the number of upsets to Texas and to Penn State and to Iowa State. Tennessee moves up to that number 12 spot. What I think I want to see coming out of this first off week for Tennessee, what is the defense going to look like? Because offensively, there's no concerns. None. Joey Aguilar, who the big kind of knock on him, coming out of Appalachian State, now at Tennessee, is he can be a little loose with the football, can be a little mistake prone. That really hasn't been the case. Again, he had the 2 interceptions against Mississippi State. Both of those were not his fault. Both were off the hands of the tight end Miles Kitselman. Tennessee's offensive stack. Chris Brazzell is a clear, no doubt, first-round talent at wide receiver. The size, what is he, 6'5"? The route running ability, the hands, the catch radius, everything that this kid brings to the table. Forget being a true number 1 wide receiver in the SEC. He's a true number 1 wide receiver going into this NFL draft in 2026. So he's awesome. I mean, you still got Mike Matthews, who's kind of a burner. Same can be said about Braylon Staley. Kitselman's a good sort of third down target at tight end and down in the red zone. And you've obviously got 3 excellent running backs for Tennessee, and guys like Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas, they're excellent in that regard. Defensively, they get to the quarterback well. Guys like Joshua Josephs, they're able to get to the quarterback consistently. The secondary, in theory, has plenty of talent. Guys like Colton Hood, guys like Ricky Gibbs III, who's yet to play. Jermon McCoy, who's a first-round talent at corner. But they've been beat up. They haven't been totally healthy. Can this Tennessee defense step up to a degree where it's, okay, Tennessee doesn't have to win shootouts. They don't have to put up 41 on the road to beat Mississippi State. right? They don't have to get in a situation with Georgia. Now, Georgia's obviously a much better team than Mississippi State, where at home you're having to score almost every single possession just to stay in the game, to give yourself a chance to win this football game. Arkansas is kind of like a good sort of, okay, off a bye, it's an SEC opponent at home. Tennessee hasn't won a conference game at home thus far in this young college football season. This is a great opportunity to do that. I like Tennessee, to kind of reestablish that side of the ball. Offensively, they're good. Josh Heupel's got that unit as ready to go as he possibly could. But can this Tennessee defense bounce back? Can it be able to put itself in position, kind of dominate a game start to finish? Can Tennessee have a complete game for the first time this season against a real competition? So give me the Vols, dominant fashion. -9.5. Absolutely love it. If I were a bet man for college football, Tennessee -9.5 would be the line. 41-20. Give me the Vols in this spot. That is it for this week's edition, ladies and gentlemen, of the Vol View.
Football time in Tennessee.
Yes, indeed. And this is another opportunity, as you heard me talk about with Tim earlier in the show. Check out tomorrow the Saturday Morning Tailgate podcast that airs at 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time, live on the Grid Network's YouTube channel and X account. Myself, Tim Barnard, who you just heard from, as well as Arthur Hurst, will be breaking down everything in college football, the biggest headlines from last week and this week, really. Talking about, obviously, our top 25s. We all give our top 25 list. Again, Tim had the controversial one of having Texas outside the top 20. Turns out, might have actually been kind of generous to Texas. That's what he called it, a fake top 10 win for Florida. Kind of feel that way after Texas has performed over the first five games this season. Now they're unranked. So excited to talk about all those things. We'll obviously predict all the big matchups in college football going into week 7. You got Oregon and Indiana is a fantastic matchup. Very, very excited for that matchup. I think Ohio State plays Illinois, right? Ohio State, Illinois, Alabama, Missouri. You got some really fun matchups in college football. Red River rivalry this weekend, Oklahoma and Texas. So great stuff. College football, never, ever disappoints us. So excited for this weekend. Excited for the Saturday Morning Tailgate tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern at 7 a.m. Pacific time. It's a Friday show. So, of course, there's one thing we got to do before we go into the weekend. NFL predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get the background music going on, let's go and show what my record looks like thus far into this season. So here you go. Again, 8-6 last week. Was able to get some of the upsets right. Again, upset of the week. I'm on fire in upset of the week. 3 straight, ladies and gentlemen, up to a winning record. Bryson's Bleak bet took an L last week. If I were a bet man, that's the one I care about more than any. If I can put together a 3-0 week, ladies and gentlemen, boom, we get to 500 after a 1-5 start. We've been slowly kind of clawing our way back. Listen, there is no sport that is more difficult to bet in the first few weeks of its season than the NFL, because there's so much of a mystery. Like we generally know who's good, but then again, we all just knew Baltimore was going to be good, and now they're a disaster. They're a train wreck. So now that we have more of a sense of who these teams are, if I were a bet man, we are going to make one heck of a comeback. And it starts, obviously, with my prediction here. So let's go ahead and get the background music going on right now for my predictions. Here we go. All right. We will start across the pond in London. Denver Broncos, New York Jets. The Broncos on the road are a 6.5-point favorite over the Jets. So New York is the only remaining winless team in this young NFL season. got absolutely boat raced by Dallas last week. The defense is a disaster, which is not good because Aaron Glenn is a defensive coach and needs to get that side of the football right. As for Denver, complete different side of the spectrum, end of the spectrum. Coming off of a massive fourth quarter comeback win, Sean Payton going for 2 in the lead, beating the Philadelphia Eagles, scoring 18 unanswered to win that game in the city of brotherly love. Bo Nix was sensational in that fourth quarter. They ran the football effectively. Guys like R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins have been excellent. Listen, Nick Bonito is the best pass rusher in football that nobody talks about. This guy had 2.5 sacks last week. Pressure rate was off the charts according to Pro Football Focus. Guy's outstanding. We knew this Denver defense would be great coming into the season. My guy, Talanoa Hufanga, making the big play in the Hail Mary late to seal the deal for Philadelphia. Denver's the clear pick in this one. I would be shocked if the Jets even cover in this game. Give me the Broncos 31-16 over the New York Football Jets. Up next, Los Angeles Chargers and the Miami Dolphins from South Beach. The Chargers on the road are 3.5-point favorites. This is the classic, West Coast team going all the way to Miami to play that 1 o'clock kickoff game. This is the classic spot for the Chargers. They are just beat up like crazy. O-line's beat up. Khalil Mack's hurt. Omarion Hampton and Najee Harris on IR. This is the classic spot. Guys, Jim Harbaugh, this is what he's saying. Guys, let's fly to Miami. Let's get a win. Let's go home. This is let's just get in, get a W, get out. I don't care if it looks pretty. I don't care if we win this game 3-0. Get a win, go home 4-2. As for Miami, you saw Mike McDaniel after that loss to the Carolina Panthers. He looked as dejected as I've ever seen any coach after a mid-season loss ever. He had the glasses off. He was destroyed after that, them blowing a 17-0 lead to the Carolina Panthers and losing that football game. The injuries to the Chargers and the fact that Tua is a very good home quarterback compelled me to take Miami plus 3.5. But I think just the absolute pure desperation of the Chargers, I'm going to go with them to cover. Again, win kind of an ugly game, 23-17 over the Miami Dolphins. This will, of all the NFL games this weekend, this might be one of the worst eyesores, and that includes, by the way, Patriots Saints, because that one could get a little bit ugly. But give me the Chargers 23-17 over the Miami Dolphins. Now, Pittsburgh Steelers, also, it's funny, both my college football team and my NFL team coming off of the bye week, the Tennessee Volunteers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh hosts the hated rival Cleveland Browns, who are coming off of a loss against the Vikings last week in London. Dylan Gabriel making a second start. They obviously traded Joe Flacco to the Bengals, so now Shedeur Sanders is the backup, which has generated a lot of a lot of press in the last 48 hours. Steelers are a 6.5-point favorite at home. So here's what I know. Clearly, the Steelers are a better football team than the Browns. That goes without saying. I've said often, you want free money in Vegas? That Mike Tomlin is a home dog. It is. Boy, that is money in the bank right there. Mike Tomlin, home dog. That's easy money. Mike Tomlin is a favorite? Not so much. He's a great underdog coach, not a great favorite coach. And especially the fact that this is not only a divisional game, but a divisional game with 2 excellent defenses. That's the only bright spot for Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett is having yet another DPOY-type campaign. The secondary in Cleveland's good. Up and down the roster, the Browns are stacked on that side of the ball. Steelers, ever since the Patriots game, in terms of turnovers, in terms of getting to the quarterback, have stepped it up big time. They were able to get to Carson Wentz, I think 6-7 times against the Minnesota Vikings. So that was very, very impressive. I like the Steelers to win this game. And the Cleveland Browns do cover. Again, it's a divisional game, 2 good defense. I don't listen, if we blow them out, great. Nothing would make me happier than my Pittsburgh Steelers just absolutely cannoning it to the Cleveland Browns this weekend. But I do think Cleveland does. 6.5 is too many points. This line just kept going up. When it was at 4.5 earlier in the week, this was going to be the Bryson Bleak bet game. As it got to 5.5, now it's 6.5. That's too many points for a divisional game with 2 good defenses. So give me the Steelers to win. Pittsburgh gets the W, baby. But the Browns to cover, unfortunately. I hope I'm wrong on the cover part. I really do. What do we got next? New England Patriots and the New Orleans Saints from Bourbon Street. So the Patriots on the road are 3.5-point favorites. Listen, Saints getting their first win in the Kellen Moore era last week against the New York Giants. Spencer Rattler got the first W of his career, 11 games in. Got his first W of his career for New England. And we talked about, obviously, with Tim, just a true culture win against the Buffalo Bills last week. Sunday Night Football, 7.5-point dogs. Drake Maye with an unbelievably efficient second half, leading the game-winning drive to get the W, turning over the Bills offense not once, not twice, but 3 times in that spot. This is kind of the, okay, road game, 1 o'clock, you're playing a bad team. Does Mike Vrabel have his guys ready to go? No question about it. Give me the Patriots in this game, minus 3.5. They win 27-21 over the Saints. Again, the Saints have been pretty darn competitive to their credit at home this season. The New England gets the W, 27-21 over the New Orleans Saints. It's now time for my favorite segment of all time. It is Simply Called, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Bettin Man.
If I were a bet man, oh, this is free money. I'm looking at the Los Angeles Rams going on the road to take on the Baltimore Ravens from M&T Bank Stadium. Yes, the Rams are a 7.5-point road favorite. Baltimore's awful. And Lamar Jackson, the Ravens have already ruled out this week. The Ravens at home a week ago against the dreadful Houston Texans offense gave up 44. The Texans almost matched their season total in touchdowns in one game against this awful Ravens defense, along with Dallas. These two worst defenses of football. Pass rush non-existent. Secondary's awful. And beat up, to be fair, but awful. Roquan Smith, nothing. It's been a disaster. And on the offensive side of the ball, Derrick Henry had the fumbling issues early. Now it's just not the explosive back they used to be. Listen, Father Time's undefeated. He's in year 10. Like, that's going to happen. And with no Lamar Jackson, and by the way, this defense has to go against a Rams team pissed off from a game they shouldn't have lost on extra rest against a Matthew Stafford who, quite simply, and my guy Pierce Saluna, shout out to Pierce, who came on the show a couple weeks ago, hosts the First and Tuna podcast. Check out his stuff out. Great guy. As he pointed out in the show a couple weeks ago, we're talking about Baker in the MVP discussion, Dak in the MVP discussion, and I even saw guys like Emeka Egbuka. People talking about, is Emeka Egbuka the MVP? People better start talking about Matthew Stafford. He's been phenomenal this year. The connection with Puka Nacua, who is on pace to probably run away with Offensive Player of the Year based on the numbers he's going to put up. Devontae Adams has been great as well. This is going to get ugly fast. That's what I'm going to tell you. Rams in the spot. Pass rush gets Cooper Rush consistently. Rams minus 7.5. If I were a bet man, take the LA Rams minus 7.5, 34-17, and that feels generous. I don't know if it's generous to have the Rams only at 34 or have the fact that the Ravens will actually get to 17 in this game. This will be a blowout from start to finish. Ravens minus 7.5. If I were a bet man, I love it. Okay, up next, Bryson's Bleak Bet. Do we have the Bryson's Bleak Bet logo? Do we have it? Yeah, I think we do. Here we go. It's the one game each every week that I have absolutely zero confidence in predicting, but hey, you got to predict them all. I'm looking at this matchup between the Arizona Cardinals and the Indianapolis Colts, and it's not even that I have trepidation on who I'm picking to win the game. It's called Bryson's Bleak Bet. This is not a pick 'em. This is a bet. Colts are favored minus 6.5. You're like, Bryson, you keep disrespecting the Colts. You don't think they can cover 6.5 against a team that's lost 3 games in a row? A, it's precisely because they've lost 3 games in a row. B, Arizona's issue is not that they've been getting blown out. It's that they cannot finish games to save their life. You talk about week 1, up double digits on the Saints. Spencer Rattler almost ties the game and sends it to overtime in week 1. Week 2, up 27-3 on the Panthers. Carolina's got the ball back. They get an onside kick. Could have won the game if not for Glennis Campbell making a play late. 2-point lead on San Francisco late. Punt it back to Mac Jones. Mac Jones goes down the field and beats you. Week 4, come back, tie the Seahawks. Botched kick to put Seattle at the 40-yard line to beat you. And then last week, blowing a double-digit lead to the Tennessee Titans, the worst team in the NFL. The Cardinals have been close. They just can't finish. So I feel like this game's going to be close for a while, and the Colts pull away late. Jonathan Taylor probably breaks off some long run. Danny Dimes does his thing. I will take the Colts in this spot, minus 6.5. I definitely like the Colts to win. Don't get me wrong. 29-16 is my final. I wouldn't bet. I wouldn't advise you having a strong feel for this game one way or the other. Because Arizona being close has not been the issue. Situationally, they've been maybe the worst team in football in that regard. So, Colts minus 6.5, but I don't feel great about it. All right, here's what I do feel great about. It is time, once again, for the second game for my favorite segment of all time. It is called
Bettin Man.
If I Were a Bettin Man. Oh, I love this one. The line has shifted a lot in the last 24 hours to the point where this game did barely get into my If I Were a Bettin Man territory. Seattle Seahawks, Jacksonville Jaguars from Jacksonville. The Seahawks on the road are a 1.5 favorite over 4-1 Jacksonville. So clearly what Vegas is telling you. That win Jacksonville got, that win Jacksonville got over the Kansas City Chiefs, where Trevor Lawrence comes up big late. It doesn't mean much to us. It was a good win, but it doesn't change necessarily how you feel about your team. They're kind of living off the takeaways. You know, there's a lot of luck involved in Jacksonville winning these games. I think Seattle's a really good team. I think Seattle has an excellent chance to get to the postseason this year, and I've been as praiseworthy as anybody of Sam Darnold. But the fact of the matter is, after beating the Chiefs, I get Trevor Lawrence as a home underdog, ladies and gentlemen. With the way Travis Etienne's been running the football, with the fact that this defense has been feasting on takeaways, number one in the NFL in turning the football over, and Sam Darnold, who's certainly not the turnover king that he was early in his career at the Jets, but of course, as phenomenal as he was against the Bucs last week, interception, it wasn't entirely his fault, the ball did get tipped, but interception on his final pass of the game. If I were a bet man, I get the Jags as a home dog. I think this might be the most entertaining 1 o'clock game of the day. Give me Jacksonville plus 1.5, baby. I get this home underdog. And of course, to win outright, 26-24. I could see this game ending on like a walk-off field goal or something like that. Trevor leading the Jags down the field to getting to a 5-1 record. If I were a bet man, give me Jacksonville plus 1.5. Next game, Dallas Cowboys, Carolina Panthers from Charlotte. The Cowboys are a 3.5-point road favorite in the spot. So Carolina, with a big-time comeback win last week against the Miami Dolphins, so much so where Rico Dowdle, who went for 200 yards in this game, is out here talking afterwards like, Dallas, who he used to play for, obviously, yeah, you better be ready because I'm coming for y'all. Dallas, on the other hand, impressive kind of start to finish game, albeit against one of the worst teams in football, the Jets. But Dak Prescott continues to pad his MVP case. Do we have the Dak Prescott numbers over the last 2 weeks? Because he's been simply phenomenal. 8 touchdowns, no picks, 71% completion, 586 through the air, a passer rating of 126, and QBR of 91 from 0 to 100. So Dak has been, I've said, if Baker Mayfield didn't exist, Dak would be my favorite for MVP. What he has been doing with 4 starters out in the offensive line, no CeeDee Lamb, a good tight end on his best day in Jake Ferguson, who had not caught a touchdown in a year and a half before last week's game. He's been sensational. And by the way, with a bad defense. So this game will actually be closer than people think because Dallas' defense is bad, but because Dallas' offense can put up a lot of points. I'll go Cowboys to win this one, 31-24. But I could see this being a spot where tied late, like 7 minutes to go, Dak leads the Cowboys on a touchdown drive to take the lead, and then the Cowboys defense gets to stop late on Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers to where they can't run the ball with Rico Dowdle. But I think this could be a lot closer than people think. I will say Dallas minus 3.5, 31-24 is the final score. In that one, Cowboys win the game, went 2 straight, and get to 3-2, and sets up a potentially really interesting game, next week against the Washington Commanders, so that should be fun. This one was almost Bryce's Bleak bet. Tennessee Titans, Las Vegas Raiders from Vegas on the road. Raiders are a 3.5-point favorite. I don't even know what to do with this. So the Titans get what can only be described as the dumbest win in the NFL season thus far. I mean, you get obviously the DeMarcado just fumbling the ball before he gets to the goal line. Cam Ward ends up throwing a pick, but then the ball gets punched out. Tennessee records in the end zone, but then they actually put together a really impressive game-winning drive that's capped off by a walk-off field goal. It was the dumbest win of the NFL season by far. As for Vegas, after that week 1 win against New England, they look like a disaster. Geno Smith, in particular, has been an abject disaster. 3 more interceptions than touchdown passes for Geno Smith. This Raiders defense outside of Max Crosby has been awful, as I thought it would be coming into the season. One bright spot, though, for Vegas, Ashton Genty's coming in his own. This is a guy who has established himself as one of the better rookie backs, the best rookie back in the National Football League, although the guy in Washington's not far behind. So I do think this is a pseudo-close game. That says 22-17 Titans. That should say 22-17 Raiders. I apologize for that. Give me the Raiders in this spot, though. Oh, the Titans score is incorrect on this one, but I've got the Raiders in this spot. Niners, Buccaneers. Bucs are a 3.5-point favorite at home. Here's the thing. Both teams are beat up like crazy. But San Francisco's obviously one game's beat up, so is Tampa Bay. Excuse me. I have major concerns about the Bucs defense. So this has a bit of an upset feel to it. I think Tampa Bay yet again wins a game on a game-winning drive. I could see this puppy going to overtime. Niners get a field goal. Bucs go down the field, score the game-winning touchdown. Give me the Tampa Bay Bucs. Niners plus 3.5 because of how feisty they've been with Mac Jones with this defense. But the Bucs do win this game, get to 5-1, 31-28. It is now time for my favorite segment of all time. It is simply called
Bettin Man.
If I were a bet man, I'm taking big lines this week, folks, and this is the biggest line. Cincinnati Bengals on the road against the Green Bay Packers. Actually, one of my college professors, shout out to him, who's a diehard Packers fan, is going to be at this game. Green Bay is a 14.5-point favorite in this spot, and they should be. The Bengals did upgrade, going from Jake Browning to the newly acquired Joe Flacco. But of course, aside from that, the Bengals are a disaster. The O-line's awful. The defense is awful, as we knew coming into the season. Jamar Chase is sick, apparently. It looks like he'll probably play in this game, but there's reports Jamar Chase, questionable for this game, is feeling under the weather. On the other side for Green Bay, at home, off a bye, really pissed in the fact that they tied the Cowboys in a game that they felt like they should have blown out the Cowboys. If I were a bet man, love the Packers in this spot. 34-13. This won't even be close. No game this weekend is more likely to end in a blowout than Packers over Bengals. 34-13 is your final score in this spot. In the last game, I joked last week, Chiefs-Jaguars was a can't-lose situation for me. Because if the Chiefs win, hey, I get to pump up Mahomes. That's my guy. If the Jaguars win, I get to pump up Trevor Lawrence. That's my guy. Turns out that's what happened. Let's go Trevor Lawrence. Way to come up big, my man. In this spot, it's the same thing. I get to pump up Mahomes if the Chiefs wins. I get to pump up Dan Campbell, the Lions, if they win. In fact, folks, this was my Super Bowl prediction a season ago. And I must say I'm still a bit bitter that Detroit lost their first playoff game at home as the number 1 seed to the 6th seed Washington Commanders. Because I happen to think had they won that game, they would have beaten Philadelphia at home. Even as much roles Philadelphia's on, I think Detroit would have won that game at home. And then we would have gotten a Lions-Chiefs matchup in Super Bowl 59. New Orleans, alas, that is not what happened. We do get Lions-Chiefs this weekend. Kansas City at home, a 2.5-point favorite against a team in Detroit. Well, I said, I think it's the best team in football. I really do. But what I also know is this. Detroit, defensive concerns. Kansas City, it's official. Their offense is all the way back. Xavier Worthy was on the injury report this week, but he's off, so he's going to play this weekend. Kansas City was excellent in the red zone with Travis Kelce. The D-Bowl is working not just with Xavier Worthy, but with Tyquan Thornton, as it has all season long. I need to see a little bit more from this Kansas City defense, particularly Chris Jones, who I did not like the effort I saw at all. Nobody did on the Trevor Lawrence touchdown run. I think this is going to be a high-scoring extravaganza at Arrowhead Stadium, but I will take the Chiefs in this matchup 37-34. This is like an old school Big 12. That says Patriots plus 7.5. I apologize for that. That should say Chiefs minus 2.5. But Chiefs in the spot, 37-34. Highest scoring extravaganza. Don't bet this game because it will take away your enjoyment from this game. So that's why I got Chiefs minus 2.5, 37-34 against the Detroit Lions. And with that, that is all the time we have for today's show. Appreciate everybody stopping by. Thanks so much to Tim Barnard for joining the show. You can catch Tim, Arthur, and myself tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific time on the Saturday Morning Tailgate, where we'll preview your college football Saturday. Check us out on that show tomorrow. Check out Tim on the Boston Sports Summit. Great stuff. Great to be back. I'll be back on Monday's show, 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time, right here on YouTube, X, and on Instagram. Until then, have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. God bless y'all. Peace out. And Poppy, take us to the finish, my man.
Yankee lose. Let's go, baby.
But you don't take it